which seem well, or if they are, they're not talking about it.
That's because they probably know what's going on, and again, maybe they don't want to alarm the population, because the Earth's magnetic field is changing. They're talking about that the iron content in the center of the Earth, the liquid, is moving, and our magnetic field is moving drastically, which also does protect our Earth, from all this other stuff out there. And it, again, it seems like if you look at the news, it's more near misses of huge asteroids lately, more than ever. And that itself is telling me something is going on.
Well, right, and that's sort of what I was getting at, and something that I considered even before talking to you about it was what if what if we are getting hit by more meteors? What if it is ramping up? What if it's getting worse? And like you said, what if there are people who just have a vested interest in not letting us know about it? Because frankly, I mean, what would we even do? We don't have any planetary defense system in place. Like, we don't have anything that we would be able to really do to prevent some, large object from colliding with us. And if we were talking about, many smaller objects that were just getting through our atmosphere, just sort of striking like little missiles, I mean, we don't have anything. We don't have anything at all that would be able to do anything about it, short of everybody lives in a bunker.
Yeah, so. Well, that could be another thing. Some of these booms you might be hearing might be underground, because Mary Joyce, again, stressed to me about a month ago when I was talking to her off the phone, on the phone, not on the air, that the underground base, supposedly where aliens are sharing technology with the military in North Carolina, is been expanding drastically for some strange reason. And then she also told me that there is some property up, in North Carolina, up in the mountains, that NATO troops have a base and are practicing on a constant basis. And I didn't even know that was going on in our own country.
Interesting. So, that actually reminds me of sort of associated with that Wilmington sighting, the flying humanoid and the UFOs. There was actually a sighting that came out of Lexington too, and that involved some sort of weird military operation. And so actually, and I should mention, just because I'll feel bad if I don't, she's a friend of mine, the Wilmington sighting and this Lexington actually came through Lon Strickler of Phantoms and Monsters, and he and I have actually been working really closely together to investigate the Lake Michigan Mothman and take these reports and get them all together and everything. So I always like to mention Lon whenever I can.
Well, you
haven't had him as a guest. He's a great guest.
What you need to do is talk to him and get both of you on at the same time, and we'll have a three-way conversation.
Excellent. Yeah, I will definitely mention that to him. And so we got this sighting out of Lexington, Illinois, and this actually would have been the day before the Wilmington sighting, January 27th, 2018. And so Lexington isn't too far away from Wilmington, actually. It's about 60. Let's see, Wilmington is about 60 miles northeast of Lexington. But anyway, so this guy said he wasn't sleeping very well January 27th because the local coyote pack was getting riled up about something. He said they were extremely vocal that night. He's usually a pretty deep sleeper, but they woke him up, and it sounded like a hunt was on or something, and so gets up, decides to use the bathroom, and thought he would just do a quick check outside from their windows. And so he hears what he described as this animal-like screech, followed by this really deep bass, kind of like "hoo hoo" from outside, and he thought that was really odd, of course. And so he looks out the bathroom window, and he sees this large shadow pass under a street light about 30 feet from their house. He said it did it a couple times before a creature very similar to what was described by the lady in Wilmington landed. He said it didn't make any sound, and it flared its wings when it landed in a tree, not very far away at all, like about 10 feet from their house, And so he said that this thing, whatever it was, sort of like walked with a kind of hop, and it had these three clawed feet with digits similar to a sloth, but he didn't get that good of a look at it otherwise. Like, he didn't get a look at its head or anything. But now, even more interestingly, so he's seen a lot of other weird stuff around their house. And so one of the things that I hadn't mentioned about the Wilmington sighting that I'll go ahead and mention now is she'd actually seen some weird, like, black helicopter activity around her house, in addition to the UFOs and the flying humanoid. And so this guy had seen the same thing. He talks about how one night he was outside and he hears this odd, chopper sound. He said it sounded like a Black Hawk, but, really weird. So it's like it had baffling on. So it was trying to be quiet. And he said that the night was clear, and there was a full moon, and he sees the silhouette, but the tail section was shaped sort of like the rear tail of a Comanche. And, he just sees it flying over the cornfields in this little forest area for hours, just back and forth. And even, a couple of years before that, November 2016, he says he was trying out his night vision camera because these choppers would come relatively frequently. This was almost a nightly occurrence for him. And so, he was trying out this night vision camera, and through the lens, he sees two domes under the fuselage, and he saw that to his eye, just to his normal eye, he saw that one of them was emitting like a powerful searchlight, concentrated on this specific area. So where he sees them, and this just kind of goes on, and he sees these helicopters frequently, and the same night as that searchlight, he's woken up around 2:30 a.m. By the sound of diesel engines, and these weren't semi trucks. He looks out, and on this nearby highway, he sees this convoy of military vehicles. He sees there's several MRAPs, some Hummers, some MATVs, and he said that a couple of those Hummers looked like they had the newer 50 caliber miniguns mounted on them.
Oh wow!
And the rest of them had like M2s or M240s, and they were all primer gray colored. And he says he sees them stop at this small bridge about 50 feet away, and he sees people dismount, like troops are dismounting. They had rifles and this weird body armor, he said. And they kept the vehicle lights on. So he takes out his field spotter glasses just so he can get a better look, and he sees, these guys, they are decked out. They've got fast entry helmets, balaclavas, 4-eye night vision sets, and this sort of dull finished metallic looking body armor like their vest, arms, legs, and this was strange. Even their neck were all armored, and they're carrying these combat sabers and what he said looked like the FN 2000 rifles. And he sees a team of 3 of these guys go off into the woods, and so they head off into these woods, kind of nearby this cemetery, close-ish to his house. And he says that they're gone about 10 minutes. He hears a couple of shots ring out, and then these guys come hauling ass out of the woods in a huge hurry, get into their vehicles, and just take off. And I mean, that was the end of that. I mean, he doesn't know what they were doing, what they were after, but he does know, a couple years later, he sees this weird creature, and consistently between that time and when he saw the creature, he's seeing strange helicopter activity. He's seeing helicopters flying search patterns over this area, and weirdly enough, he said that the helicopter flyovers just kind of stopped August of 2018, just out of nowhere. They're like they would happen almost daily between 11 p.m. and like 4 a.m. until August of 2018, and then they just stopped. And so, I mean, I don't know what they would be doing out there. I think it's weird that that any military or who knows, this could have been paramilitary for all we really know, because he didn't describe any obvious insignia or anything else. All we know is that they had military grade hardware.
It could be NATO troops too, because I mean, like I was telling you, Mary Joyce up in the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, there's claims that there's a NATO base there and NATO troops, securing the property and exercising. So who knows? Right. Something is going on. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It's just that reminded me of that right away. I mean, and it's like we were talking about before. It's just so pervasive across every sort of subgenre of the paranormal. You just see so many similarities. UFOs associated with Mothman sightings, and a winged humanoid associated with an alien abduction, and throughout all of it, this overpowering feeling of fear, and people, being afraid to even share their stories because they just have this feeling that something bad is going to happen to them if they do. And like I said, I've got that from people reporting alien abductions. I've got that from people reporting Mothman sightings. I've got that from people reporting hauntings. There's always this sense of pervasive fear of retribution or of summoning up whatever it is that they saw that scared them so badly to the point where they just don't even want to talk about it. And it's across the board. So, we see all of these crazy connections between things, and it's just, I feel like half of my job is just driving myself crazy trying to figure out why all of these people are describing things so similarly when, the phenomena themselves seem so different. It's maddening, honestly.
I can say I'm right there with you. Hey, our time is up. You want to tell the people how they can find your organization?
Yeah, definitely. So if you're interested in the Singular Fortean Society, you can find us through our website at singularfortean.com. You can also find us on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram.